Welcome everyone to Not That Media. My name is John and in today's video I'm going to be running down my top 5 silver level John Carpenter films. So come along with me as I do another John Carpenter ranking. If you're new here and you haven't done so already, I do recommend going back and watching my first John Carpenter top 5. That came out shortly after the announcement that John Carpenter would receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2025. I wanted to commemorate that with ranking my top 5 movies that I consider the gold standard. The go-to John Carpenter films that, if I'm just in the mood to watch something Carpenter related, those are the films I always go to. I had quite a positive response from that top 5 and I was really pleased by some of the engagement and comments that I got from it. A couple of comments were exactly what I expected to happen, so off the back of that I thought, why not continue the trend? If I have 5 that I consider the gold tier, why not go to silver? So that's what this video is all about. I'm not going to be going into deep spoilers, I'm not going to be going into lots of facts and different information. This is just the next level down for me. None of these are necessarily inferior movies to the gold ones, but the gold level that I have created are, as I say, those ones that if I just go to the shelf and I just fancy watching something, those 5 will probably be one of the 5 I'll go to first. So when these 5 come out, they are just as valid, and as I said in the previous video, there's no right or wrong, this is all subjective, this is just my opinion. But if you're new to horror, new to John Carpenter, and you're looking for different films, I always think it's good to have fresh perspectives. So let's get on with it. So first on my silver level list, and this probably will come as no surprise to certainly a couple of the commenters on the gold video, is 1982's John Carpenter's The Thing. Now, this is a sci-fi horror extravaganza. This is arguably John Carpenter's goriest, most violent, most physically threatening film, as in characters being physically threatened within a movie, that you are going to get. This is proper, unfiltered Carpenter, and he is absolutely a magician in this film in terms of his designs, his directing, his writing. The music is as much a character as anybody in the film. The Thing, which is the intergalactic space alien that can take the form of anything or any living thing it can, is just terrifying. The reason that I do not rate this in my gold tier is I'm not a very big fan, I respect it, but I'm not a huge fan of body horror. So The Thing, when it transforms from one creature to another, or when it's discovered, you see every skull crack, every tendon snap, every blood squirted moment, every tooth, every chest explosion. It is all there. It's all practical. The puppetry, the animatronics that must have gone into this, the magician tricks to pull some of this stuff off. They use amputees in certain scenes as well to give off those moments when pieces are torn off people. It has such great body horror gore. It actually unnerves me. It makes me feel physically uncomfortable to watch. So for that reason, this is always really high on my list, but I can never make it a gold Carpenter film because it actually unnerves me. So arguably, for horror, it should be top of the list, but for my personal Carpenter films, it's in 6th place ahead of my 5 gold. Don't be fooled by what I'm saying though, it's not just gore. This has got some fantastic character development. Kurt Russell, Keith David, a fantastic ensemble crew who are researchers in the Antarctic, presented with a situation where you are trapped in a base with this thing. It can be anybody, it can be your friends, it can be an animal, it can be whatever it wants to be. How can you trust? Who do you trust? You know, friends become enemies, enemies become friends. Everyone's doubting each other. It has a scene, which I won't spoil, which is so tension-filled that it actually leads to one of the biggest jump scares. Even though you know it's coming, 2nd, 3rd, 5th time round, it's so well done. Kurt Russell is a badass in this film. He is a flamethrower-wielding SOB is what I would say. He is so good. The Thing is still to this day recognised. Fans of It Chapter 2, there is a direct lift from a scene in The Thing in It Chapter 2. This is a solid recommend. Not for the light-hearted, I will say. 42 years later, The Thing still holds up. And ironically, about 15 years ago, I think it was, they did a prequel and they went for special effects over practical effects. The Thing prequel is not a bad film. It just is, you just watch it and it's literally a step backwards. Stuff he was doing in 1982 holds up in 2024, in my opinion. Do give this a look. It's a strong recommend, but if you're a body horror fan, not a body horror fan, I should say, I warned you in advance. So the next film, will probably be no surprise to some, is 1981's Halloween 2. Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasence are back. John Carpenter is co-writing, co-producing, co-composing, and he even directed a few scenes to add in additional gore and violence because there was actually complaints from the studio that it wasn't gory enough. This film is quite literally more of The Night He Came Home. It continues literally the moment after Halloween 1 ends. Laurie Strode is taken to hospital. Dr. Loomis leaves her and continues his quest to find Michael, who disappeared at the end of the first film. There's not a huge amount to say about Halloween 2. It's a solid film. It's a good sequel. I personally think there are better sequels in the Halloween franchise, but I'm only including things that John Carpenter co-wrote/directed. It's got some great moments. It's got some funny characters. It's got some creative kills as well, which I won't go into now. I think if you enjoy Halloween 1 and you quite literally want to see more of The Night He Came Home, Halloween 2 as a follow-up is a solid recommend. So next up on the list, and one that I sometimes feel doesn't quite get the recognition it deserves, is 1983's Christine. John Carpenter tackles Stephen King's novel, and he does so with so much vigour and strength. This is a great film. A 1958 Plymouth Fury is created, and within minutes of it coming off the factory lot, it is killing, it is hurting, it is maiming. It wants to hurt people in a nutshell. There's no real way around this. There's no redemption. There's nothing to do. This vehicle wants to kill. But also, it is a very jealous vehicle. So it don't like wives, it don't like girlfriends, it doesn't like anybody who gets in the way of its owner. So many years later, a downtrodden, nerdy boy who is beaten up by everybody and is hated by everybody purchases this hunk of junk, this scrap that's been left to rot, and takes his time to repair it. And as a result, Christine returns, things start to happen. The problem is, of course, when this lad gets more confident and more of a personality as a result of having this hot car, and it's even the fact that the car may be having some kind of influence over him, making him more confident, more greaserish is probably the best way to look at it. He suddenly has a girlfriend, and the girlfriend is interested in him. Of course, Christine is not happy, so she sets her sights on dealing with the girlfriend. And the boy, well, what side of the fence is he going to go on? You have to watch that to find out. Like The Thing, this has nothing but practical effects in it. There is a spectacular scene where this car, and I don't want to say too much, is smashed and beaten and destroyed, and the lad stands in front of the car. He holds his arms up, and it's a silhouette shot begins. He says, "Show me," and the headlights burst to life. Carpenter theme comes on, and using as similar to The Thing, trickery, backward shots, all the backward shots, I should say, all the tricks of the magician that is John Carpenter. We witness Christine rebuild herself and come to life on screen. It is an iconic moment, and this is a solid recommend. Moving away from horror temporarily, we're going into the world of sci-fi now, but that's not to say that this isn't another great film. I'm talking about 1981's Escape from New York. This is another in the Kurt Russell trilogy. It is co-written by John Carpenter and Nick Castle, of all people. Nick Castle, aka the original Michael Myers. It is directed by John Carpenter and composed by John Carpenter. This has got a fantastic cast, this film. Kurt Russell, Adrian Barbeau, Donald Pleasence. The regulars of Carpenter are materializing within these films. The story is, in the future, in a dystopian future, Manhattan has essentially become a prison island. It's walled off from the rest of the country and is used as a prison. Arkham City is probably the best example. The President of the United States, played by Donald Pleasence, his plane is shot down and crashes in Manhattan. So Snake Plissken, yes, game fans, Snake Plissken, played by Kurt Russell, is commissioned by the government to go in and find the president. He is tagged with an explosive that will go off and kill him, so he only has a certain amount of time. So he has to go into the town alone with a few guns and basically work his way through Manhattan to locate the president and his cargo from the gangs, murderers, and everything else in between that are in the city of Manhattan, and get the president out as soon as possible. This film is just sci-fi Carpenter, is what I would say. It's really good fun. It feels like a video game. It's ironic that so many video games in the future would steal from it. Yes, you are quite right in your assumption when you look at the picture of Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken. Metal Gear Solid owes a huge debt to this movie, as does Arkham City, the more I think about it. It's fun, it's action-packed, there's chases, there's all kinds of scenes in it. There's a hilarious scene where Donald Pleasence is tied up and there's people shooting at him, demanding that he shouts, "You're the Duke," and Donald Pleasence has a little freak out on screen shouting, "Yeah, the Duke, yeah, the Duke," which is just funny. It's a solid movie, a real good recommend, and if you haven't seen it, give it a look. Last on my list, and by no means least, and it's arguably maybe a little bit of an forgotten Carpenter film, or very much an unloved Carpenter film, is 1987's Prince of Darkness. This film is crazy, is what I would say, in a good way. It's got Donald Pleasence in a starring role. I mean, Donald Pleasence has been in 3 out of 5 of my recommendations for this video, with Kurt Russell being in 2 of them. So it might as well have been the Donald Pleasence and Kurt Russell show, this video. In a nutshell, a green cylinder is located underneath a church, and when it is opened, it starts to turn graduates and people into zombies. So a priest, played by Donald Pleasence, and a ragtag group of people have to fight against these zombies in an effort to save the day and obviously stop the zombies. There is a really odd B storyline in this film, in that the homeless community that live around this city are in fact revealed to be kind of denizens of this green liquid. Whatever unholy force is inside this liquid or producing this liquid, they answer to this thing. So the leader of these homeless, like zombies, they're not proper zombies, but they are very catatonic looking people, is played by none other than Alice Cooper, of all people. No makeup, no lines. He does a fantastic kill, mild spoiler, with a bicycle. If you ever want to see somebody be killed with a bicycle, Alice Cooper has got your back. It has got some very uncomfortable practical zombie melting effects. You literally see over a progression of scenes, a woman physically melting, her arms, her face, everything. So again, very similar to The Thing in terms of body horror, although The Thing is way out there. Edge of Darkness is a stomach turner if you are not a big fan of practical body horror and things like that. But this film is crazy. I mean, if you thought that Donald Pleasence running around the streets as a psychologist with a gun was one thing, wait till you see him as a priest with an axe. This film is just fun, and it's a solid recommend. So that's going to do it for this video. Another 5, that's The Thing, Halloween 2, Christine, Escape from New York, and Prince of Darkness. I do recommend you seek these out. I think the majority of them are available on streaming, or if you can pay one-off like Amazon fees of £2, £3 to watch it, I strongly recommend you give a good look at these. If you're new to horror, I would recommend starting with Christine, and if you've seen Halloween 1 and you just want to see more, go to Halloween 2. If you're looking for, as I say, the magician that is Carpenter in terms of body horror, Prince of Darkness and The Thing will have your back. Or if you just want to enjoy the music of Carpenter, the direction, the writing of Carpenter, see a few of the actors that he's used to using, but you're not a horror fan, Escape from New York will have your back. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. It was a quick one, it wasn't meant to be a deep delve or anything. I just wanted to follow up the gold with my silver level. Maybe I'll do a bronze level. I have got my hands on another Carpenter film that I had never heard of. It was actually a TV movie. So maybe I'll follow it up with that video, or I'll do my bronze level. I haven't decided yet, but if you enjoyed what you see, please do give it a like, please do subscribe, and until next time, stay scared.